All right, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us on this Google Hangout. So it'll be me and three other students here tonight. I guess I'll just start off with introductions. I'm Katie. I'm a sophomore from Cary, North Carolina. I am a chem major, and some of the stuff that I do on campus, I'm really involved in research center. Soren, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Hi, my name is Soren Chargois. I am a sophomore from Great Falls, Montana. I am doing an interdepartmental major in Econ and Visual Media Studies with the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Certificate, and I absolutely love that. We can talk about that later. Um, on campus, I'm in a sorority. I also am part of the Duke Catholic Center and the Duke Students team, and I love it. Alec?
Sweet. Thanks, Soren. My name's Alec Lintz. I'm a freshman from Houston, Texas, but I live in Cleveland, Ohio right now. I'm a double major in public policy and Korean. My focuses on campus are Duke Student Government. I'm on the Equity and Outreach Committee, focusing on interfaith and interreligious issues on campus. And I'm also really involved in the Duke Catholic Center. So if you have any questions about that, hit me up. On to Cece.
Hey, thanks, Alec. My name is Suzy Shea. I am a sophomore from Tallahassee, Florida. I'm doing an interdepartmental major between econ and psych. On campus, I'm involved with Progress Period, which is like a feminist organization. I'm also involved with Duke Asian American Theater, and I'm also in Scale and Coin Business Society, as well as the Duke Students Group. Okay.
So we actually have our first question now. So our question is approximately what percentage of freshmen pre-med end up surviving to applying to medical school in their senior year at Duke? And I think I can answer this question pretty well. I'm not sure if I mentioned in my introduction, but I am pre-med. And honestly, like most people who want to continue on pre-med and it's their own choice do end up applying, and 85% of Duke students who apply get into a medical school somewhere. So there's always like that, I guess, fearful lecture where the professor will tell you like, oh, only 1/10 of you will make it, or at least you see that in the movies, but that's never happened to me here. If you want to make it, then you can go and talk to a pre-health advisor, and you can go and seek out these people, and you will make it. If you want to continue that through, you can. But the thing that may change some people's minds is not necessarily rigor of the course or because they weren't able to survive, but it's more just that they found other options and they want to go into pharmacy, and maybe they're more interested in research. That's actually a really popular path that is an alternative to medicine. People think that, oh, I'm interested in science and like I'm interested in human stuff, so I should become a doctor. But there's a lot of research that's going on in the world, and Duke is a really research-heavy institution as well, and there's some great opportunities to get involved with that. So I would say that successful in a different kind of way. So did anyone else? I'm not sure if anyone else is pre-med. No? Okay, yeah, I didn't think so. Um, so let's see. We have another question that says, how do you select a major, and then when do you have to declare? Cece, do you want to like pick up on that one?
Yeah, of course. So I came in as a biomedical engineer, actually, as a lot of people do. And so when I got here, because like in high school, I was always pretty good at math and science, right? And so I didn't know what I wanted to do, but Duke has a really great biomedical engineering program. So I was like, yeah, I'll just do that. And then after my first semester, I was like, wait, I really don't want to be an engineer. But when I was looking through the other majors, I was like, oh, I don't know if any of these really fit what I want to do. So I went through a period of time where I like went through tons of majors. I thought about global health, I thought about neuroscience, biology, econ, and I was like, none of these really fit exactly what I want to do. And at Duke, there are these great programs. You can do a program 2, or you can do an interdepartmental major, where that's basically where you kind of make your own major to fit your own interests. And so program 2, you kind of can pick like all the different classes from different areas and create your own major, whereas interdepartmental, it's centered around 2 departments. So I wanted to go into behavioral economics, so I chose a interdepartmental major that centered around half econ and half psych, and that really just suits like what I want to study intellectually. And I think it's really awesome that Duke has these programs that you can like choose to study very like unique things. You have to declare by the spring of your sophomore semester, so you have quite a bit of time. Soren, do you want to tell about your experience?
Absolutely. I was in a pretty similar situation with Suzy. So I'm a sophomore now, and I declared my interdepartmental major this last fall. Freshman year, I went through all of the options. I came into Duke like thinking I was going to be like computer science, and then I went to public policy. Then I was like, no, poli-sci, which they're kind of like very similar. And then I went so I said computer science and then like econ, but like I wasn't interested in doing only econ. And then I discovered some professors in the visual media studies department, and I just like absolutely fell in love with it. And I came into Duke, I would have never even considered something close to an arts major. Like it was not something I would always like, just like nothing I ever thought I'd be interested in, and it has become the absolute like my absolute passion. I absolutely love it. And then being able to have the opportunity through Duke to combine econ with VMS in order to, help innovation, entrepreneurship, whatever I choose to go into has been really awesome. And then I think one of my biggest suggestions would be like from square one of your time at Duke, like take all the classes. Like I can honestly say that at the beginning of my fall semester, sophomore year, so just this last fall, I probably like tried 8 or 9 different classes in the first 2 weeks of drop ad period, because I was just like, I want to get the feel of the professor. I want to know what the course is about. Is it something that's really interesting to me? And I love when I get it when my friends ask me what classes I'm taking, and I can just like excitedly tell them like, this is what I'm in, like this is what I'm learning. It's actually so cool and so relevant. And they're always like, wow, like that's so awesome that you like are actually enjoying school. And it's like, that's an experience I want for everybody. So I strongly suggest, trying different classes, talk to your deans, talk to your advisors. They're super helpful. Other students, absolutely. So I think we have our next question that Katie's going to take over.
See. Oh, one thing that I wanted to remind you guys, for anyone who's just joining us now, or if you didn't, Google Hangouts can be kind of confusing, I guess. You can ask us questions through the Q&A. It's like a greenish teal button on the side, and you can type in your questions and we'll get them answered for you as soon as possible. So our question is about the Duke Marine Lab and opportunities for research. They say, are there opportunities for research during the summers with stipends, and how else can you pay for Duke? And they are not receiving any financial. If you have it, I have financial aid, and it covers a lot of, anytime I need to stay over the summer, it covers a lot. But also there are plenty of opportunities if you do not have financial aid. There's lots of summer fellowships that you can apply for, and grants as well. So some of the things that like come off of like the top of my head, just thinking about this, is like the Howard Hughes Fellowship, which is a scholarship stipend thing that you can apply for as a first year going into second year, and it focuses the focus is on students who don't have transition into research, and so that's really great if you're seeking for funding through that. There's plenty of others fellowships as well. There's also Dean's Fellowship. There's fellowships that are within departments as well. So it's really, there's a huge variety of ways that you can find stipends and grants and fellowships. You just have to kind of search around a little bit. I'm sure you can talk to either your academic advisor or maybe even a professor that's focusing, if you want to seek out a professor that's focusing on the research that you're interested in doing. Duke Marine Lab, it's a really, really awesome experience. I actually have a couple of friends who are there right now, and the stories they tell me are like insane. I'm so jelly of them. But basically, the Marine Lab is in Beaufort, North Carolina, and which is right on the beach, the coast of North Carolina. There's summer classes that are offered there. You can also study abroad there, or I guess take a semester off of our campus here in Durham to the Beaufort Marine Lab. And so there's it's mostly focused on biology, I would say, but for summer course-wise, you can take things like physics, biology, I think biochem is offered there, and you can also take a biology independent study. I know there are more options besides that, but it's a really great place if you're a bio major, B, well, a bio major just generally, B, a bio major especially if you're interested in marine biology, and C, any pre-med who's interested in taking a class but doesn't necessarily want to stay in the Durham area, and they want to kind of go to the beach, then I would recommend that as well. In terms of like other sources of funding for the summer, maybe Alec, do you want to take over this question?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Katie. So a lot of people do research in the summer, but a great portion of our student body also does internships and other related things. And so the good thing about Duke is that even if you're not on financial aid, there are tons of grants that you can apply for. Myself, I'm applying to a language program in Korea this summer, and Duke was able to give me a grant to go and study abroad. So even if you're not on financial aid, I am on financial aid, but the grant will allow you to go if you're not. Some of my friends who are doing internships in New York or other cities are able to find like cheap housing at other universities as well. So the thing about college that's different from high school is that you do have to do a lot of research on your own. Like things aren't just like handed to you, and so you do have to go and search these programs, but college seems like it's hard to pay for, but there are really good options if you search for them. So that's what I'm really thankful for about college. Something else that you can do in the summer at Duke is Duke Engage. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the program yet. I actually am going to share my screen here and show you guys the website really quickly. So this is Duke Engage. It's basically a really cool. A lot of the programs are 10 to 8 weeks long, 8 to 10 weeks long, doing different programs of either community service, basically like it says, a global reach in foreign countries or domestic. And so over here to my left, there's a big list of countries where you can go. And do really incredible programs. It makes the whole Duke experience so much more international, and it's fully covered by the university. So students really love going on Duke Engage and talking about their experiences there. I know some really cool people who went to South Korea and were able to work with North Korean refugees, which is an absolutely incredible experience. Sorry, that's my email. I'm having a hard time clicking back. Sorry. And so Duke Engage is a really great program that Duke offers. If you want to check out more about that, you can go to dukeengage.duke.edu. That's the website that I just had open. It's really cool. And so really, if you're not doing research in the summer, there are still tons of opportunities. So that's my 2 cents about it.
And also, one thing I wanted to mention that Alec actually kind of inspired me to mention. So Duke Engage individual Duke Engage project. So honestly, the options are limitless for where you want to go for the summer if you want to apply through Duke Engage funding. But then also, you can apply for Bass Connections, which is another research service kind of and oriented type program that you can do during the summer, and they will fund you as well. Okay, so let's like turn it over to Cece for a bit.
Hey, So the next question comes from Jenny. She says, I know that Duke being a part of the research triangle provides a lot of opportunities for the maths and sciences, but can any of you speak to the opportunities for students studying poli-sci, econ, or law, since Durham isn't really a big city? So I know within just the triangle, right now, I'm actually taking a class called Prisoner's Dilemma, and that is a class for PPE, which is philosophy, politics, and economics, and it's actually half held at UNC and half held at Duke, which is really, really interesting because it gives me an opportunity to go over to Chapel Hill, and that's really fun to be in a class that's half Duke students, half UNC students, and like have that collaborative effort in there. And outside of just in Durham, having like that Duke name makes it so much easier to get internships and opportunities outside of just Durham. Like there are tons of people who intern and like take classes in New York City, Baltimore, DC. Like I have one of my best friends right now is in the financial institutions like semester abroad in New York right now. So like yeah, like if you're doing econ, there's an entire semester where you can just take finance classes in New York, and you can like go to trading floors and actually have firsthand experience like doing things in finance in New York. And I know people who were in focus for different types of law, and they got to take like field trips out to DC and actually experience all of those things firsthand. So there are tons of opportunities for like poli-sci, law, econ, and like where you can get involved and get really hands-on experience.
Yeah, to add to that, Cece, I have a couple friends right now who are studying in DC. They're doing their spring semester away, and Duke in DC is the name of the program. And they're doing really cool internships with senators and lawmakers there, which is really great. And Duke, North Carolina is only like a 3.5-hour bus ride or car ride away from DC. And so I'm actually going to DC on my own with some friends in a couple weeks to just go watch Senate in session. So you can literally do that if you want. We're so very close to DC, so that really helps.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Alec. So our next few questions are about research focused as a freshman and what kind of opportunities are there for undergrads and that kind of stuff. So I definitely think I can kind of talk on this from my perspective because I got involved in research. I actually did a pre-orientation that's called P-Search, and there are pre-orientations for Duke. There's I was focused more on research and on kids who didn't have any research experience coming in, which I didn't. I didn't do any research in high school. But then I actually did P-Search, and I met a lot of professors through that. I heard them speak about their projects. I also did a very mini research project. And they told us about their research projects and how they got involved with research on campus. So I would say yes, definitely possible to do research as a freshman. I actually interviewed for my first lab, which is a developmental biology lab, on move-in day, freshman year. So like the minute I stepped on campus, please hire me. So I interviewed, and then it was actually a very chill interview. Basically, how I found this position was through this place called Duke List. Basically, there's a website that it's almost like Craigslist, but like definitely less sketchy because it's all Duke students or Duke faculty who are posting on that, and you have to type in your net ID, which kind of like just certifies you as like a part of a Duke affiliated. And so I found that position through Duke List, and then I emailed the professor, and then he gave me an interview, and that's how I was able to get in contact with him before school even started. You definitely don't have to do that right during the summer of your high school, essentially, going into Duke. You can definitely come to campus and then kind of explore a little bit, see what labs you're interested in, and get involved in research that way. But professors and and graduate students as well, they're really, really engaging with undergrads. They really and honestly just want you to learn stuff that you're interested in learning. So like they're really excited to see their projects that they've been working on for like years and years like continue on and just progress forward. And you're like the youth, so you'll like continue on with this project and you'll continue on the legacy. So I'm no longer with that developmental biology lab. I'm with a pharmacology lab now, but both labs have been really, really engaging. They definitely ask you and focus on you and think about what kind of needs you have. Like, do you want to publish? Do you just kind of want to get your feet wet in the subject? Like, do you want to like train really intensely for research? That sort of stuff. And they'll definitely think about your needs and then try to act accordingly with the type of research you'll get involved with in that lab. So I think we can pass it over to Alec.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, how did you decide on Duke? I am currently between two schools, so can you talk a little bit about what schools you were deciding between and what made you choose Duke? Okay, so I was choosing between Duke and then two really big schools in California, Berkeley and UCLA. And I have to say that the reason why I chose Duke, I had been considering other schools that I wanted to apply to early, and the reason why I ended up going with Duke is because Duke is a place where people are very diverse. People are coming from all across the country, from completely different backgrounds, from different races, from different genders, from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and different political ideologies as well. And so being able to go to a school where everyone's very different, I feel like is definitely preparing me the most for after college, because when we get into the workforce, when we get into the real world, not everyone is going to be like you, and I didn't want to go to a school where it seemed like everyone had the same ideas. The thing that I appreciate about Duke is that there's a lot of dialogue here, and I'm grateful to be friends with people who are totally different from me. It's really interesting to see that. That leads to some really cool late night conversations, staying up until 2 a.m. talking about politics and economics, and it's fun and it's cool, and so that's kind of why I like Duke. Another really cool thing, which I'm sure that you guys have, definitely know about, is Duke basketball. And being able to go to a school where there is such an incredible tradition. We've got Coach K. It's really funny whenever he walks out into Cameron Indoor Stadium, our basketball stadium, we all, kind of like worship him because Coach K does so much for our school. And it's really cool because having that school spirit adds so much. It adds a lot of social life to what Duke really is, and it makes school so much more fun. We do tenting. This year it was a long season, so we had a tent outside for 7 weeks. I did it with 23 other people, and it was definitely an experience. I was sick for 10 weeks, but it still made it all the more worth it. And I think that really adds to the Duke experience. You're not always stuck in the book, stuck in the library. You're really getting to know people through the great social life and differentiation of views here on campus. And so that's what I'm really thankful about with Duke. I think Soren has a little bit that she wants to add about why she chose Duke. Soren?
Absolutely. So I was choosing between Duke and Columbia. I had my college visits on two consecutive weekends, and I visited Columbia first. And I remember coming home, and I was sitting with my mom watching my little brother's baseball game, telling her, even though we're visiting Duke, do not let me choose Duke. I want Columbia. I am going to go to Columbia. Just don't let me talk myself out of it. And oh my gosh, and then I came and visited Duke, and even after an hour and a half on campus, I was like, yeah, like this is cool, like I like it. I was still like, Columbia, Columbia. And then, but 4 hours later, after just talking to the people and like listening to like my tour guides and the people like who are just like with you during the day, like because I came for Blue Devil Days, which I'm sure you guys all have information on, but just after that time, it was just like in love. Like first of all, the weather's wonderful. The spirit of the campus is amazing. Like I don't want to I'm not talking bad about Columbia or any other schools for that instance, but people were just nice when I visited Duke. Like upperclassmen were always willing to like point me to the point me to the right direction or like where whatever building I was supposed to be. They were like always super there and super helpful, always smiling. Like they'd smile at the front, like the P frosh coming through. They were super nice. And where I noticed at the other schools I visited, it was definitely not that friendly, not that welcoming, like very cold kind of vibe that I got. But I absolutely chose Duke for that reason. And I literally am more and more proud of my decision every single day. I don't even know how that's possible, but I'm just so happy to be here. And yeah, I think that leads us to our next question. How manageable is the workload? How much free time do you have? This definitely depends on the person and the major, obviously, but I can say the workload is manageable. This is Duke University. It's a step up from high school. I mean, I came from a 100-person high school in Great Falls, Montana, um, to Duke, and that was definitely for me the biggest change was the change I had to make in my like homework schedule. Whereas I could come home from my 8-hour school day at home and do homework for 2 hours and like then go hang out, friends, family, whatever. Whereas Duke, I mean, you definitely scheduling is very important because most likely you're not only going to be dealing with classes, but you're going to be dealing with friends, you're going to be dealing with separate living groups and whatever communities you join on campus, whether that's student groups, clubs, etc. Um, that being said, it's very manageable and it is only as good as you make it. Because yes, I'm busy, and everyone on this panel can agree with this. Yeah, we're busy. We're doing things from 7 a.m. to sometimes 1 a.m. Not me. I go to bed at 11. But some people do, and it's just if you can make yourself enjoy it, if you can have a schedule you enjoy, and then if you find groups on campus that you enjoy doing, it's not work. It doesn't become work. And that even applies to schoolwork, although it kind of sounds lame. Like, again, here I am, like, excited about my studies and whatnot. I think if you're into what you're studying, it's almost not even work, kind of, for the most part. But yeah, I think that's in general. And so yeah, it's definitely manageable. There's times finals are difficult, but it is what it is, and you just absolutely is what you make of it. Anyway, I think we're gonna move on to Katie now.
Thanks, Soren. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's definitely what you was really overwhelmed at first. Like probably the first thing is just like O week and just all the activities fairs, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this, 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 this. I want to do everything that is possibly offered to me, and it's really overwhelming at first. But you do like find that because there are so many opportunities to take, like in high school, it's like, what is there? You just take like the classes that you should be taking, and then like some clubs that you're kind of interested in. Like, I think that the opportunities here, there are just so many more. And then so in the beginning, you kind of like are really scrambled at first. But then you get to see that, like, oh, you can prioritize things that are really important to you. And yeah, I am pre-med, and yes, I am very busy, and so are all the other people here that are non-pre-med as well. But it's just so much better now because you can, at first, I guess when I entered, I at least got a taste of everything, and I kind of understood like what other perspectives were like, and I got to see things instead of just kind of being limited to certain things like in high school because they weren't available to me. So like definitely need to manage your time and then prioritize things that you need to manage your time with. But then after that, it's just like it's so great. It's so much fun. And yes, fun is a priority. You can factor in fun into your life, and you can socialize, and you can like hang out with your friends. Because like after a long like biochem exam, that's all I want to do, just like relax and hang out with friends. And so let's kind of transition into our next question, which is, so is Duke collaborative or competitive? And so I actually get this question a lot. I'm a tour guide. If you guys can see my little tour guide chapel. But this question comes up so often, and I think that it can be really, I guess, a great example of how I like to answer this question is just that in freshman first semester organic chemistry. A lot of people warned me and tried to deter me from taking it, but I just didn't care. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take it. How bad could it be? Um, yeah, it was pretty bad. It was very difficult, but and it was a curved class, and so like the first week everyone's like, oh my gosh, like we all have to study so hard, and it felt like kind of intense almost, but like we all realized like after maybe the week and one day, it was like, okay, we're all, this class is hard, like everyone is in it together, like it doesn't even matter at this point, like if we're trying to be tough or we're trying to seem like, oh, we're going to be great at this class and like we've got our poker face or whatever, because we're just like riding the struggle bus together at this point. Like we're just like so scared for the first midterm. We have no idea what's going on. We're freshmen, first semester, and we're like, oh my god, Orgo is going to be the death of me. And then so I met my best friend in Orgo, and I also got a group study a group study situation thing going on, and I am blocking with a group of girls we're kind of like co-blocking with another group, and those are all people I've met from Orgo. All of the people in my biochem class are from Orgo because we took the same path in the pre-med track. So like almost all of my best friends I met in that class. And you would think Orgo 1, highly competitive class, the class is completely based on curve, and everyone's trying to like keep an eye on each other or whatever. Like no, like that mentality is totally gone, because we're all just like, oh my god, please, please, Lord, like can we get through the first midterm? Can we just get through this class? And I had so many people take like valuable time out of their studying to answer my questions, because not only is answering another person's questions just nice to do, and then you can build friendships that way, but you can also learn through that as well. It's very collaborative. If you're able to answer some other person's question, that means you probably understand the material pretty well yourself. So I think that's pretty like a popular approach that we take with our orgo classes, our bio classes, or like any classes that I have taken on that track. And I've met my best friends through those classes. So Cece, did you want to continue on with this?
Yeah, so I agree with you. Like when I started out first semester, I was a biomedical engineer, which is like one of the, I guess, more competitive, like harder majors. And I came from a public school in Florida, so I was not very well equipped for, the jump to Duke University. And I remember before I came to college, I heard lots of stories about like at higher level colleges, people are super competitive, they'll like steal your notes and stuff. And so I was kind of scared of that, but that is like absolutely not true. When I got here, like my first semester, I was taking like multivariable calculus, EGR 103, like pretty difficult. Yeah, I was taking pretty difficult classes all at once, and I was struggling. But I found so many friends in all of those classes that were really, really willing to like help me out. Like for EGR labs, they take like 5-6 hours to do, and I had friends who would sit with me in my dorm and stay up with me until like 4 a.m. helping me finish those labs. And I remember for my multi-final, a bunch of my friends, we got together the night before the final, we stayed up all night, and they would like help me, like walk me through all of like the dumbest little things. I remember always feeling really bad, feeling really behind, like, oh, I'm so stupid, thanks for like being my private tutor basically and taking out so much of your time, even though you have the final too and you're helping me get like the basic things that I still don't understand. And they're like, no, like I love being able to help you, because me being able to teach like the questions you're asking is helping me as well. So it's like a very, very collaborative effort here at Duke. It's definitely not like a competitive era. Everyone's very, very helpful, which is one of my favorite things about Duke. So I think, Alec, you have the next question?
Yeah, sweet. Thanks, Cece. Okay, so there's one question. I'm admitted into Trinity, but I don't know what major I'm admitted with. There were 3 major options I could choose in the Common App. Should I assume that I'm going with the first choice? So what you put in the Common App was completely arbitrary. You are not bound to that. They really just kind of wanted to get a feel for like what your academic interests are going into Duke, so that the admissions officers could kind of make a more diverse class. We don't want to admit all BME or all pub-pol majors. So also you can really, I think someone, it was either Soren or Katie mentioned this earlier, that if you are feeling like you want to change your major, you by all means totally can. You don't have to declare your major until the spring of your sophomore year. And so throughout that time, like Soren said, you can take all the classes that you want. and kind of get a feel for what you're interested in. So by all means, don't feel bound to pick one of those three majors, and don't feel like you need to even pick anything that's in that same realm. Like I know some friends who were poli-sci centric, and now they're going with like biology and comp sci. So like you can really do whatever you want. Don't feel bound by that at all. It's really good to go to a liberal arts institution that will let you pick your major later on. So it really helps. So let's see. Who should I? Okay, I'm gonna send this question next to Katie.
All right, so we've got another pre-med question. Pre-med's in the house. They ask, what academic support structures are available for pre-med students? And there is a pre-health advising office, so that encompasses not just pre-med going to medical school, but anyone who's interested in dentistry, veterinary science, pharmacy school, PT, nursing, anything like that. There's that pre-health office, and based on first year dorm, so everyone has to live on East Campus, and so that's why a popular way to categorize students is by first year dorm. Based on your first year dorm, you will get a pre-health advisor, and so you can go seek out their help. And so there are also there's a pre-health listserv that you can subscribe to, and they send a whole bunch of opportunities. They almost send a little too many because I get a lot of emails from them. And then on top of that, you can go seek out your academic advisor as well, and they can just like that. But I would say even with all those like support structures through like Duke's, I guess, faculty, the biggest support system here is amongst the students, in my opinion. So there are pre-health organizations that you can join, and there are major organizations you can join. So for example, I'm a part of like the chemistry majors union type thing. And so a lot of us just like gather advice and information from other pre-health students. So a lot of like what I have learned about being pre-med at Duke is from like my upperclassmen friends, and they are the ones that really kind of know the ins and outs of like, oh, which professor is good to take if you're interested in like a certain bio or a certain chem, or let's say good and who's bad is a subjective thing, but maybe you can talk to someone who's more interested in like I guess a certain learning style. So if you're a very oral learner and they're a good lecturer, maybe like that's important to you, so you can go seek out a professor like that. Or if you're more visual and you like seeing the notes like drawn out, and that professor, there's another professor who posts notes online, and you can as well. But a lot of the support comes from other students, and I don't think this is necessarily a pre-med specific thing. I think this is like very much just general classes. So let's see. Did Cece, did you want to talk about focus? I can also talk about focus for a little bit as well. But how about you take this?
Yeah. So I personally didn't actually do focus, but I did have a lot of friends who did it.
Oh wait, did you want me to talk about this? Because I actually
Yeah,
did
if you
focus.
have done focus, you should talk about it.
Okay, all right.
Great.
So I think none of the other three students have done focus. Is that correct? Okay, all right. So I actually did focus my freshman first semester. So focus is a program that has different topics that you focus on. Remove some and add some, but essentially what it is a program just for first semester freshmen. And so you know every single person who's going to be in the focus program is your exact year and has the same exact credits as you. And so you guys are all kind of in the same boat. And so my focus was actually cognitive neuroscience and law, and the a little bit about each of the focuses, but she told us that essentially this was designed so that we could transition well from high school to college life. And so all of the courses in Focus are seminar courses, and they're less than 20 people each, so they're very small seminar courses. You get to know the professors well, and you're also going to take a half credit course that is it's a half credit course, but it's a dinner essentially, a weekly dinner with all of your Focus members and your faculty. So each Focus is about 30, 40 students big, and it has like 3 or 4 faculty, and you get assigned to a dorm. So each freshman dorm has about 200 people, like 150, 200-ish, and then about 30, 40 of those will be people within your Focus, which is really great because if you have questions on homework, if you have an upcoming test or a paper or something, they're close enough, they're within that building to talk to them about it, but also at the same time, you're not like stuck with them and you're not like always with them. You know, there's still that like 100, 150 other students that are in your dorm as well. So I would say the 2 biggest takeaways from doing Focus is one, really, really well, and 2, that you get to know like faculty members really well right away. And so another thing that you want to consider about Focus is that it does take up 2 like courses, like credits, I guess. So you do want to consider just like scheduling wise how things are going to work out. So for example, if you're an engineer and you need to take a certain level of math and certain level of chemistry, you may not want to do Focus because it might put you back in comparison to people who didn't do Focus. But I mean, other than that, I would say it's really, really fun, and it's really, really exciting to be in this environment when you're transitioning from high school to college life. So did someone want to talk about program 2?
Yeah. So I'm personally not doing a program 2, but I did look into it when I was trying to, you know, do my major. Like if I wanted to do interdepartmental or program 2, and I do know someone who's doing it. She's doing something that has to do, I think, with music and like the brain. But program 2 is incredibly flexible. You can do almost anything you want. I have like some course titles pulled up on my phone right now. There's like culture change in modern Africa, Italian literature and modern poetry, like there's like tons of things. You can do basically whatever you want. The main goal with program 2 though is that you have to legitimately like be very passionate in it, and a lot of times you kind of have to already know something about it because you have to write up multiple proposals for it and you have to meet with tons of people. There's like a lot of I guess paperwork you kind of have to do before you can go into declaring it. So you can't just be like, oh, I don't know what I want to declare. I'll declare something random. It has to be something you're actually intellectually stimulated by. But if you like really do want to declare that as your major, then you can basically do almost anything you want. I know some girl who's working on a program 2, and it's going to be about agriculture and food studies. So you can really do. It's very, very flexible. So next is the next question. Where do Duke students go to hang out, and what are your favorite experiences? Who's taking this one?
I can take that one.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so Natalie sent us this question. Thank you, Natalie. So Duke right now is, or at the beginning of this year really, was under a lot of construction. And so the construction that was going on at Duke has been redoing our West Union, which is like one of our main like student centers. And it is going to be absolutely beautiful. Like we see pictures of it online and I cannot wait for it. We're gonna have tons of new food vendors. So I'm really excited to hang out there. But right now, I'm currently in the Marketplace, which is the East Campus Union for first years, for freshmen who are living on East Campus. So I don't know if I can maybe show you guys a little bit. I don't know how much you care about, but that's basically our dining hall. And so the greatest thing about the freshman experience is that while you're walking around East Campus, it's just freshmen. And so everyone, you have, I don't want to get into the scheduling of eating meals and everything, because sometimes people have different meal plans, and that's all really confusing. But the good thing about eating on East Campus is that you see all your friends. You can literally walk into Marketplace, not make plans with anyone, and see people that you know and eat dinner with them, and it makes the whole freshman year experience really great. We're also really blessed at Duke to have really nice libraries where you can study with friends, or if you want to get a group study room and just like study, you literally just like procrastinate like the entire time, but you can. Duke has tons of places for socializing. We have the Bryan Center as well, which is one of our student centers, which again has tons of student offices and lots of food eateries. So those are like our main hangout places on campus. But the good thing about being on East Campus as well is that you can totally walk right into downtown Durham. I know a really good restaurant, Satisfaction, that I love to go to. My friends make fun of me because I love it so much. And there are also really cool restaurants like Monuts, which has all these crazy hippie donuts, and another place it's called The Parlor, which has crazy hippie ice cream. And so it makes it really fun to go into Durham because Durham is this booming, growing city, and it really adds to the Duke experience. I also wanted to add to what Natalie asked was, what are your favorite experiences at Duke? So my favorite experience at Duke so far has been Project Build, which was one of the pre-orientation programs. When you apply to Duke, after you get into Duke, you'll be getting an email soon about pre-orientation programs that happen a week before orientation week. So essentially, you were put in, so I did P-Build, Katie did P-Search, which was focused on research. Mine was focused on community service, which if you're going to apply for P-Build. There's this little competition between the different pre-orientation programs. So
Apply P-Search.
No, build, do build. But it was great because I got to go into orientation week, which is a little hard. It's a hard step coming from high school where you know everyone into this big place with a big class where you don't know anyone. And knowing those people from the pre-orientation program, we were broken up into different families and got to like talk about our life stories, which was really crazy and kind of hard and challenging, but it was definitely one of the first challenges of college. But in experiencing that challenge, we were able to get to know each other. And so I'm really, really thankful for Project Build in that way. Soren, do you want to add something about social life at Duke or just hanging out?
Absolutely. I think starting out freshman year orientation week is just about the best time ever. I mean, you're meeting everybody in the freshman class. Like, everybody goes and like sits with people they don't even know. They just start up conversations. You hang out all day and night and just have a really good time. And that just kind of sets the precedent for what the next 4 years will be like, I think. I was in a small dorm called East House. I think there's very few people, like 80 plus people, and our community was just so close. I mean, we were always hanging out in the common room, always doing homework together, going out together, eating together, which was really fun. And then once people rush and they do either SLG or sorority fraternity rush in the spring. And I like that because, like, first of all, you get to establish your core friend group in the beginning, and then you get to join. You get to broaden your friend group with whatever SLG, sorority, fraternity you join, which is awesome because that is just like another group of people that you probably would have never met in your time at Duke, who, in my experience, have just completely changed my life, have just like added so much to my experience here, which I owe that all to them. It's absolutely fun, absolutely awesome. We get to explore Durham. You go out with friends. Like, Duke often hosts like DPAC outings, which is the Duke Performing Arts Center. People go to that. Just the restaurants, like Alec mentioned, amazing food. Like, Durham consistently rates like top in the country for like foodie places. So definitely check out the food scene. And then I think up next, Cece is going to talk about the music scene, which fits perfectly and is just as great as the food scene. So, Cece.
Yeah, so the music scene here is incredible. We have tons of like local small artists as well as large artists. So on campus we have like our own recording label, and then we also have tons of concerts that come. We have Heatwave, we have LDOC, we have Old Duke. This year for Old Duke we're having Sean Kingston. Last year we had Vanessa Carlton. For LDOC we have Matoma, Saint Motel, Ray Stremmerd. Last year we had Jeremiah T-Pain, Mr. Wives, like tons of big names. And so there's also really close by in Chapel Hill, there's Cat's Cradle, and I've been to tons of concerts there. I've been to, I've seen Keena Giernes there, I saw Small Pools. Small Pools also the year before I went to see them in concert came to Duke and had a meet and greet, which is super awesome. There's tons of like meet and greets. There's also concerts at Coffee House, which is right on East Campus. And if you want to go see like more big name artists, I saw Taylor Swift at the Greensboro Coliseum, which is about like a 40-minute to an hour drive away. It's really accessible. There are lots of large concerts at the Ritz, at the Red Hat Amphitheater. They're all like pretty close drives. I know Chance the Rapper was there recently. I know Daughters had a concert at Cat's Cradle yesterday. So there's tons of music if you want small names, big names. It's a great scene for music here. I think we're going to Katie for safety.
Yeah, so we had a question about how safe is Durham. And so basically, or not Durham, but Duke and I guess a little bit of Durham as well. But I would say Duke and Durham are pretty separate in term, and they're really as separate as you want them to make it. It's very easy to go into parts of Durham, but basically, I would say Duke is a very safe place. Measures that we have for just keeping the students safe on campus. There are these help poles around campus, and anytime you feel unsafe on campus, you're able to press them, and someone will come on the intercom and they'll talk to you and ask you if you need assistance. If you ever feel unsafe to the point where you don't want to stop at one of those help poles, then you can press them and they'll track your location. And we actually have a new app that just launched. It's called LiveSafe, and it allows them to track your location and anything, and give you like real-time tips, like through like anything from that's happening on campus, like maybe an assault or abuse, something, a suspicious activity that will happen, and they'll like notify you of that as well. We also have Duke Alert, which every student just gets a text or email, and they'll notify you of anything that happens that is unsafe or any suspicious activity that is happening on campus. Just a couple of features that are off of the top of my head that we have. So all of the dorms are card access only, and even during certain residents of your dorm are able to swipe into your dorm, so even the friends that live in different dorms aren't able to swipe in during quad access only times. And that's really heavy traffic times. That's like move-in day, move-out day, and any time that's like there's a lot of people just around campus. There's also like all of our academic buildings are open during public hours from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., but then they're really convenient thing about the library is that it's open 24 hours Monday through Friday, but that's only for like students or Duke affiliated people, so then you have to swipe into those buildings at that point. So it's not like they're just some random people just like in these buildings. You'll know that pretty much everyone around you is Duke affiliated. And also we have security officers, and we've got DUPD, which is our Duke University Police Department, and we've got our own branch of Duke EMS. So those are all just measures that we have on campus. And one other thing that I really utilized, freshman year especially, was this thing called Duke Vans, and that was essentially a system to put in place that make sure that you get from place to place safely. So anytime the buses aren't running, so that means buses stop running at 2 a.m. on weekdays, but also like for weather-related incidents where the buses are not running, there's a van service that runs, and it's kind of like a taxi. You just kind of call them and say like, hey, I'm at this place, can you drop me off at my dorm or whatever. It's a safety measure, but honestly, like, I don't want to walk to East. Can you please drive me back? And it was like really convenient. So that's just put in place for safety as well. Okay, so
I want to say something about safety.
Okay.
So safety is, you're going to college. This is something that you just need to be aware of. You're not, in your sheltered communities, if you live in a sheltered community at home, or where like everything. So you have to always be smart. Safety shouldn't be a reason for you not to come to Duke. I feel safe here. I went into Durham last night with some friends. We went down to that ice cream place that I was talking about earlier, and we felt completely and totally safe. This new app that we have, Live Safe, basically will track you wherever you are. You can have a friend know where you are at all times, so that if you do feel like you are threatened or if you feel nervous, that someone will know where you are. So it's really great to have that. It's basically like those blue buttons that are around our campus, if you don't have your phone and you feel threatened, in your phone. So you're totally safe at all times. You definitely do need to be careful, though. You don't want to leave your laptops or backpacks around. It's just common sense type stuff. But you always have to be careful. So I kind of want to talk a bit about, we got this question, someone really likes small schools with small populations, but they love Duke so far, even with its 14,000 students. Does Duke ever feel too big or crowded, particularly in the classroom? How do you form closer and smaller groups of friends? So again, I really want to talk about the first year experience here at Duke. All of the first years are located on East Campus, and we're all here together. We're all kind of in this together. You know, we're all coming from different places. And so, like I said earlier, Marketplace, being able to be here and only be, 2 dorms down from Marketplace and go in and see all your friends who live across East Campus, it's really great. Again, orientation week is awesome as well because you're literally talking to complete strangers and just getting to know them. And if it clicks, which it usually does, I mean, I still am friends with a lot of people I met during orientation week. You become really good friends. And you kind of have to jump out of your comfort zone. But even if you don't feel like you have to jump out of your comfort zone, if you're not quite comfortable doing that yet, we have the first year advisory counselor program, and we call them FACTS. They help you unload your cars when you're coming in or help you fill up your room with all of your belongings, which is a really great program. But you're paired with people from your dorm with one of these FACTS, and they basically help you to meet all the people that are living with you. RAs are also really good. They do a lot of great programming to help you meet people in your hall. Halls seem to, or dorm halls really seem to stick together after that first year. It's something that I'm really grateful for. I really like the people in my hall. And so I know that I'll be friends with them after this first year. Let's see, does someone want to add something about class sizes? To shed some light about our student-to-faculty ratio or stuff like that?
Okay, yeah, I can add a little bit more about class sizes. And so we do have like a student-to-faculty ratio of 8:1. And so that is somewhat reflected in our class sizes. I mean, a lot of that I would say probably comes from the added faculty that are on campus, like administration as well. But like our class sizes, I would say, are relatively small. I guess as a pre-med, I still do take those like larger intro courses, and there are those courses that are really popular because a lot of majors tend to have to take similar classes such as like physics or the intro-level bio courses or things like that. But then like any of those classes that are over 100 people, I mean, I'm pretty sure I can guarantee that you will be in another section, either through a lab section or a discussion section that is about 20 to 30 people. So all of my intro bio, all of my intro chem, physics, statistics, all of those courses, they did have a separate discussion section, and those are just to ensure that like there is, I would say 100 people, 200 people is kind of a lot in a lecture, but then you don't get completely lost and you don't get like engulfed by this crowd of people because you do meet up in your discussion section and they do like make sure like, oh, I'm grasping this material and I continue on. And I'm not just like lost in this sea of people. I mean around 50 people, and that was like an Orgo 2 class, which is a pretty popular class. But then also my largest large lecture class, which I think is it's pretty it's an anomaly to have it this large, but it was around like 400 people. But again, there were those like discussion sections where you were like literally forced to meet in a smaller group, and so that was really nice because I got to meet friends there, and also like I got to learn and talk to like a TA and not just be like, oh, I'm sitting in this lecture just listening to them talk and I have no idea what's going on. So Alec, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah, sure. So we have a question about House Bill 2 in North Carolina, and the question is, so the House Bill 2 media coverage, it's been on national news. How accepting is Duke, and do trans students have a place here? So if you're unfamiliar with the House Bill 2 in North Carolina, it was basically legislation that was passed 2 weeks ago that was making bathrooms single gender, and so that if a trans person wanted to use the bathroom, a public bathroom with which they identify, they would not be allowed to. And so a lot of people see this, and Duke University in particular has a statement. Let me share my screen with you guys about this this bill. Sharing my screen. Shameless plug here. Follow us, Duke University. Duke University values every individual. We are committed to equality, diversity, and inclusion, which makes us a better and stronger community. For that reason, we deplore any effort to deny any person the protection of the law because of sexual orientation or gender identity. So give me a second to unshare my screen. Cool. So to reiterate what the university is saying, I'm a senator for equity and outreach through Duke Student Government, and one of our projects at the beginning of the year was to make single occupancy bathrooms gender neutral, so that gender neutral are students who don't identify, who are non-binary or transgendered, can feel free to use whatever bathroom they want. We're really blessed on East Campus to have gender neutral housing. I'm actually in the gender neutral house, Wilson Hall, where if you are non-binary or transgender, you can totally feel comfortable living with whomever you want. And it really makes the whole situation here at Duke very equitable and feel very safe. I also wanted to add that on West Campus as well, that if you are uncomfortable or don't feel safe using single-gendered bathrooms, that there are actually gender-neutral bathrooms. I am living in Few Quad next year, and I think it's really great that in my hall we've got a men's restroom with showers, a women's restroom with showers, and a gender-neutral restroom with showers. So if you don't identify as a certain gender or are a transgender person, you can feel free to use the gender-neutral or the gender with which you identify. So Duke is really standing firm on being an equitable and safe place for all of its students. Like it said, we really care about the individual here. And I can really attest to that because, like I said, everyone here comes from totally different backgrounds. We're all very different people, and I'm great that Duke is encouraging that embracement of differences. Like, it actually is a very real thing here. So let's see, what else is next? So yeah, the final question is, why did you choose Duke? So I guess we're all going to give like a quick little final statement here about why we chose Duke. Does someone want to do that first? Because I've been talking for a while. Does someone want to take that?
I'll start. I chose Duke not only because of the awesome academic record that Duke has and the professors and the research and all of the great things that come with that. Something I didn't realize that I was getting when I chose Duke was the network. Oh my gosh, there is a Duke network all around the world. That's a huge part of your education, I think, is those connections you're able to make with people. Additionally, the Southern hospitality is so real, and that was a huge part of me choosing Duke. Everyone was super sweet. Also, they're all from around the country, but we all just come here, and it's so warm and happy, and it's just a great feeling that you get when you're on campus. I always land from wherever I am in America or the world. I always land back in Durham, and I'm just like, I'm home. So it's great. And then going on to Cece.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's a lot like what Soren said earlier. When I was here for Blue Devil Days, every single person was so welcoming, all of the upperclassmen. I remember I was choosing between Dartmouth and here, and I asked one of the upperclassmen what about Duke that they liked, and they talked to me for about, I think, 2 hours about what they loved about Duke, and their energy they're so energetic and passionate about it. And everyone here was so nice. Everyone would give directions. They wouldn't be like, oh, you're just stupid and ignore you. Whereas other campuses, people come off as cold. People here at Duke are just really warm and collaborative and kind. And that's something that you can't get off a pamphlet or just any other thing like that. You just being here, you realize how amazing the students really are. So that's why I ended up choosing Duke. Katie?
Wait, so I want to say, no, you're totally good, you're good. So the reason why I chose Duke, I've got 3 little quick ones. The first one, the weather. It only snowed 2 days here. I said I'm from Cleveland. We don't have to deal with that much of the cold weather. And you get all 4 seasons, which is great. Number 2, Duke basketball. I'm clearly repping my Duke right now. Like I said, the school spirit really adds a lot to the campus environment. We got a really great, yeah, see, Soren's got the D honor as well. It really adds a lot to the campus environment, and everyone's very, going through tension together, you meet so many people, and it's really great to all go through it together, and to also cheer with your school. It feels really great. And then number 3, it's really for the alumni connection and the connections that Duke gives you beyond Duke. there have already been so many circumstances where I've just told people like, oh, I go to Duke, and they're like, oh, do you know this person? You know this person? And it leads you down this train where you make all these great connections, and that's something really unique that Duke has. So that's why I chose Duke. Katie, do you wanna tell us why?
Yeah, all right. So why I chose Duke was definitely for the people, the amazing academic resources, but like the students here are really interesting and just really diverse. And I knew I was going to be challenged not only in the classroom, because let me tell you, I am challenged in the classroom, but like the students themselves, they challenge me just in so many different ways. We have really engaging conversations. Like we have open conversations about all sorts of different topics, whether that be like something that we learned in our classes or just like social and issues that are happening. We're just always talking about something that makes me think and makes me challenge my thoughts that I previously had. And I'm always like growing, and I really think that being at Duke kind of makes you develop and make sure that you're always thinking about something before you are set on an idea. Yeah, so that's pretty much why I chose Duke. Passed us by really, really quickly. Thank you guys so much for joining us and asking your questions. And we're really happy to be here and just answer these questions for you. So make sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts. I think you can see that all our social media platforms are at Duke Students. You can see on my lower third. So it's at Duke Students on Instagram, on Twitter. We have Duke Students on Tumblr. And we have our new Spotify account as well, so make sure to follow us on there. We have our latest playlist is one that you guys actually created, where it was collaborative and everyone kind of added their happy dance songs or whatever to that playlist, and honestly it's an awesome playlist. You guys have great music taste. So check us out on there, but also, you know, come to Blue Devil Days. We're really excited to have you guys. We'd love to meet you in person. I remember actually meeting some people who saw me on the chat last year at Blue Devil Days, so I'm really, really excited, and you guys should be excited too. Definitely come by. And so again, thank you for being here tonight, and we are really happy to have you guys. So bye.